Hello, everybody. Welcome to Witches Movie Coven. I am not Patty Negri, um, because Patty Negri has gone to the land of Xanadu thanks
Oh.
to modern technologies on her computer. She was here for about a minute and she started to say something to Ms. Courtney Buckley, and something amusing happened. Her computer decided that she was not going to be here for now, and then she hit some sort of Back to the Future time machine. I don't know, but that's what I hear. So she may be joining us later. I hope that she is. But in the meantime, as I said, I'm not Petty Negri. I am actually Richard Lale. I am one of your hosts. And now we'll go over here to Ms. Courtney Buckley. Courtney.
That's me. I'm Courtney Buckley. I am Ghostbait on Scared and Alone. I missed you guys last week. I was in New York visiting one of my very best friends and seeing my very first Broadway show, which was so much fun.
I think you got lucky by not being here last week, Courtney.
I think I should have scheduled it for this week, but we can talk about that. Also, I would just like to remind everyone I'm a very powerful witch. So whoever was in charge of this week has better sleep with one eye open. So
let us go from there to Ms. Heather Green. Heather Green, hello.
I am not the person that wand was aimed at. Yes, I am Heather Green. I am the author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. It is the definitive guide of witches and witchcraft in film and television. And I am also an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide and a journalist. I cover the occult, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this lovely coven meeting.
Yes, you are. Speaking of things that are lovely and muses, the best hair, the golden-haired boy himself, Mr. Jason Mankey.
I'm Jason. I've written a lot of books. My name is Jason. I've written Modern Witchcraft with the Greek Gods. So you would think that this movie tonight might be right up my alley. When I'm not writing books for Llewellyn, I can be found watching lots of sports and currently playing Spider-Man 2 on my PS5, which is really exciting. Sorry, I'm just very excited about this game that I'm playing. It's really silly. But, what are you going to do? I mean, you get to be Spider-Man and save the world.
Amazing. Amazing. That is exciting. I don't know anything about a PS5. I don't know PS1, 2, or 3.
We are dropping like flies tonight.
We are.
It is.
The universe is trying to tell us something.
The magic of Xanadu is not coming through.
There was no magic of Xanadu. So it was all a lie.
Well, on that topic, Miss Patty Negri is rebooting. She's not here yet, but the second that Miss Patty comes in, we will welcome her with applause, I'm sure. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 1980 film Xanadu. Normally, of course, it would be tossed to me, and I would give an unbiased synopsis for those of you who it. Saying that my connection keeps going, and I think, of course, it is the magic of Xanadu. Maybe the muses don't want me to be so aptly amused. Oh, here we go. Miss Patty Negri is back. Welcome back.
Computers hate me. I'm gonna run away with Black Phillip.
There's Xanadu.
I was just jump scared.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So we've all introduced ourselves. It is just now for you to reintroduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patty. I'm the one who have a haunted computer and a haunted phone and a haunted printer and a haunted everything else. But I'm here with the most beautiful coven on the history of the world. And that's all I have to say for right now. Did you guys did we just introduce ourselves? Did we talk about the movie?
Introduced ourselves. I just said that we were going to watch Xanadu, but now I throw the reins back over to you. We're going to watch Xanadu. Patty Negri.
Okay, we're going to talk about Xanadu. Xanadu. I hope you guys watched it. I did for the very first time. Now, if anybody didn't watch it, though, Richard Lale, do you have an unbiased synopsis of this film?
If that's what we're going to call it, yes. Yes, I do. So 1980, it is Xanadu, and it's about a xenomorph who is xenophilic, who happens to be the least amusing muse ever, and about this young boy who has young man who's an artist who has the charisma of a cardboard cup. Nonetheless, he has this dream of creating this club that obviously is going to last forever as a work of art, because roller discos are going to be around forever. Yes. And then he has this chance encounter with Olivia Newton-John's character, who is somehow sent from heaven above to, it's also, by the way, this is the sequel to it's the sequel to a movie which was an answer to a play, something like Heaven Can Wait or something. Anyway, all of that stuff aside, there's a lot of disco and a lot of shiny polyester and a lot of roller skates. And he's trying to paint, and he paints the wrong things because obviously his job is also going to last forever. He paints posters that are enlarged from photographs that would go out of fashion in 10 years anyway, but it's a good thing he's young. Anyway, so he meets this muse, and then he meets Gene Kelly, and Gene Kelly, who had an affair with Olivia Newton-John back in the 40s, apparently, wants to open a club, and he wants to open a club that's rock and roll because it's the 80s, but Gene Kelly wants to open one that's the 40s. So they go to the Pacific Palisades, to an old building that was built in 1934 and then burnt down, goodness, years later. And then there's a lot of dancing and roller skating and really awful effects, and something about a 15 or 20 minute closing. And then at the end, the muse goes back to heaven, and he then meets a server girl who looks like the muse, and he just wants to talk to her. The end. I don't know. I don't know. Also, I will tell you this, in the middle, in the interim, I kind of got lost because I had to cleanse my palate, and I switched over. If we're going to do musicals from 1980, I did Flash Gordon with the music of Queen, and that was way better than this god-awful, sappy film that I'm not going to give my opinion of until later.
No.
I bet we can guess what your opinion's going to be, though.
No.
I don't think so. I think that was very unclear.
Yeah,
very unclear. Oh my. Moving on. Thank you, Richard Lale. Now you guys all know what the film is, just in case you didn't see it. Would this one be in your book, Miss Heather? By any chance?
Absolutely not. It is not a witch film at all. Not a witch to be found. So no, it's not. But I do have some things to talk about. So obviously we're talking Xanadu 1980. It was written for this movie, but based on a movie hang on a second. The name of it, Down to Earth. It was based on a movie, Rita Hayworth movie musical 1947, but it's not a remake of that. Clearly not. This movie, I'm going to give you top 5 things to know about this movie. So I'm going to give those to you, and then I'm going to fill in the blanks because there's a few things you got to know. So my top 5 things to think about when you are watching this movie or thinking about this movie is first, it's a movie musical, and that's important at this time of the in the 1970s. We're going to talk about star power. There's a couple stars we need to talk about. We have the music, of course. You can't have a musical without music. That's a really important part. And we're also going to talk about that lovely little animation section because there's some notes I have about that. And also a witch connection. Ooh, it may not be a witch movie, but there is a witch connection, and I'm going to point that one out. So just to go through this real quick, to give you these little notes, to make it maybe a little bit more fun when you watch it the next 5 times, because I know you guys are all going to watch it more. First of all, it is a movie musical, as I said, and the movie musicals were really popular at this time. It's 1970s. They started to gain popularity in the early 1970s. You think Cabaret, 1972, and Fiddler on the Roof, 1971. Of course, those won awards. And then it kept going from there. Willy Wonka, Jesus Christ Superstar, Rocky Horror was 1975, Saturday Night Fever, 1977. Scorsese did New York, New York, 1977. Of course, The Wiz, we talked about that. And Grease, which, of course, is what leads us into this being a musical, because this, of course, is an attempt to reenact the fame that Olivia Newton-John got from Grease. It's really a rehash, or trying to ride the coattails of the success of Grease, which we can talk about whether it was successful in that or not later.
Crap.
So that leads me into the star power. Point number 2, you have Olivia Newton-John. And this is a star vehicle for her. And you really know that if you haven't figured it out by halfway through the movie. The last 20 minutes, as Richard Lale pointed out, is a scene which is like Olivia Newton-John over Olivia Newton-John, again, Olivia Newton-John and Olivia Newton-John over and over in the various costumes. This is an Olivia Newton-John star vehicle, is what this is. And again, riding the coattails is her success, and also the success of musicals. The other person to talk about, of course, is the lovely, lovely Gene Kelly. My mind is, it's late here, guys. I'm tired. Is the great Gene Kelly, who is one of my all-time favorites. He is also a icon of movie musicals from the 1940s. Some of my favorite classics, most well-known, Singing in the Rain. You have American in Paris. You have Anchors Away, On the Town. I mean, you can go on and on. This man is a fantastic dancer and singer, and he was an icon of the 1940s and 50s movie musicals. I recommend seeing him in his prime, because Brigadoon, oh my goodness, I love him in Brigadoon. Anyway, so you have him as well, and this was his last screen performance. He was in a couple TV shows, and then he passed in the 90s. So he's an icon. He's a nice person to point out in this movie. And then we move to music. This is what the movie has survived for, is its music. So you have Electric Light Orchestra was involved with the actual music. Yellow, very popular at the time. You have the Tubes actually in the performance. They're in the ones in the orange jumpsuits. And the song Magic won a Grammy. So you do have, and this is what's kind of the movie has gotten a following, probably because of the music. I can't think of any other reason it would.
So this is a Grammy. Okay, it's a Grammy, not an Oscar-winning film.
No, the song won a Grammy.
Okay, that's
Magic. The song Magic,
which is a good song. Okay, that.
Yeah,
I got my awards mixed up for a minute, because
no Oscar.
No, this actually has one. This did win an award. It won the very first Razzie Award.
Raspberry, yeah.
Because it's awful. But Gene Kelly, he didn't do any more major motion pictures, but he did do a lot of television shows after. And one of my favorites of Gene Kelly was Ghost Story 1981, which we've talked about before, but that's all we'll say about that topic.
Yep.
And he didn't do any more motion pictures, but this was his last motion picture. But he did a lot of
little things, TV things and series and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was music. And then I wanted to talk about the animation a little bit and tell you a little bit connection on the animation, which that's her favorite part, I can tell. Was, you may have noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed, notice that it kind of looked like a little like a Disney animation. It very much felt like that. Well, it was done by Don Bluth, which surprised me, but it looks like Don Bluth's work. Don Bluth left Disney in 1980. He had been with them for decades. He was trained there. He was a Disney animator.
I don't mean to interrupt, but it's a secret. It's a secret of NIM. Maybe we shouldn't tell them.
Yeah. And Secret of NIM was his very first animated film with his own studio in 1982. So that's kind of another little little connection that this movie has. It has a lot of kind of people connected to it. And then the last one, the witch connection. So the choreographer is Kenny Ortega. Kenny Ortega did the choreography for Ferris Bueller's, for Dirty. If you see this guy's Dirty Dancing, he did choreography for concerts. Michael Jackson. He was all over the place. Look at this man's his filmography. It's fantastic. Well, he actually started directing at one point. He directed Descendants. He directed High School Musical, a ton of stuff, and he directed Hocus Pocus. There you go.
Yay.
So that's
Don't put me on the screen like I'm impressed.
You are
I'm not.
impressed, I know. And so this movie has, the other piece of this movie that's really important is it's not important, but it's just factors. This movie is like, it takes a ton of stuff and puts it all into a big cauldron, right? Throw some roller skates on it and some flashing lights, but it's got all kinds of stuff inside of there. It's got the Xanadu references to Coleridge, to Citizen Kane. It's got connections to movies, musicals of the past. It's got all this referential stuff thrown in there in this grab bag of a movie. So there's lots of stuff to look at, a lot of these things that I've mentioned, and it all got churned up in that cauldron, like I said, put under a disco ball and roller skates, and there you have Xanadu. So
Director Robert Greenwald also went on to direct a whole lot of documentary films, mostly which are liberal-leaning films that I particularly enjoy. Though he did win a Golden Raspberry for this particular film.
Yeah, his film company is called Brave New Films, and he does political activism now. I think he stopped commercial work. I don't think he went on to do much after this, commercial-wise.
Okay.
It probably was hard to get hired after this.
All right.
Yes, actually.
I kind of agree with everything you're saying, but they tried to do something different, and I give them credit for that. I mean, even if it like that was the it's like she didn't have star power, and she's not a very good dancer or skater. I mean, if you look at it, it's like, but I was a former dancer. I love the dancing. I love let's put 40s stuff with 80s stuff, and even if it's badly done, I love that they tried to do it, and it was good dancing, and it was. I mean, give them 10 points just for being weird. I'd never seen it before. I had never
weird.
It doesn't have to be bad. Okay, I'd never seen it before, and I remember hearing, it was a bad movie or like a bad movie. So I was kind of expecting a bad movie, and I got a bad movie. But I just watched it like I'm watching a weird non sequitur dance show where dancers don't know how to act. But it had Gene Kelly. I love Gene Kelly, and he's like grandpa gets a little moment on stage kind of feeling to me. So I didn't hate it.
I want to say something, Lisa. You just said I can make anything sound like it's worth watching. I believe that everything is worth watching, whether it's good or bad. As I've always said, I like to say, if you don't watch the bad stuff, you don't know what's good. So I'm not trying to make this. I have not given my opinion about this. I wasn't trying to make it sound good. I'm just trying to point some things out in case you should find yourself in front of the television watching this movie. These are the things to look for.
And you did that very well, Heather. It was very concise, not opinionated, just like Richard Layall.
I am trying to reserve my opinion.
Just like Richard Layall. But I just had to say something for the film because everything you say is true. It's like the weirdest movie I've ever seen. I mean, it was almost weirder than Killer Christmas Trees to me.
Don't bring that into this conversation.
Why do we have dark glasses on?
Because I can't turn my light off.
Okay. All right. I will shut up now. Courtney, the floor is yours.
Oh,
ahead, Courtney.
boy. This movie, I had never seen it until today. And to me, it was the visual representation of a migraine. Like, that's what I imagine happens in my head when I'm having a migraine. Was there a plot? I don't know. I watched it. I didn't understand it. It was so difficult to look at. I could not. I took I think a self-defense nap during the song where they sing Xanadu 800 times, and I kept jumping awake like I was frightened because now that Xanadu, like I'm like, oh, it's trauma forever now. I've been traumatized by this movie. But yeah, it was, it was what it was. I don't know. I someone in the comments asked whose choice was this. I would just like to point out we weren't allowed to do Will Ferrell movies because they weren't witch movies. So why did we do this to the person who picked it?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask our producer.
Ooh, our producer. Who did pick it? Who did?
Rob picked it. It's his fault.
And he's not commenting on our little. What?
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
He's hiding.
He's like the discombobulated voices at the end of the film, but in text form.
Right.
Just kind of comes in.
Oh yeah, and then let's talk about like the jump scare that was the animation, because I was sitting there and I was like, well, this can't get worse. And then all of a sudden it's a cartoon. Like what? And then I yelled out loud. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I cannot sit through any more of this. And then when oh my God, at the end when he was like looking at the painting of them and he was like he backed away and then he rushed forward and burst through the wall into like the land where time forgot, like whatever that was. I was like, this cannot be. Who made this? Why did they make this? Like every time, Heather, you just said there was like a following. Why? I don't understand. It doesn't hold up. It should not be remembered. Throw it in the trash and light it on fire. That's what I think.
I think the songs are fun, and I like Electric Light Orchestra. So things like All Over the World are good. I know the song Xanadu. I mean, I've heard that a bunch of times. Magic is a great song and deserves the Emmy Award that it got. Not Emmy Award, it's a music award. Grammy Award that it won. So there are some redeeming qualities to the film. Mostly it's music, but you could get all those redeeming qualities by simply buying the soundtrack and avoiding the film.
The dancing.
But then you had to watch Olivia Newton-John dance, and that's not good.
I was a danseur in the ballet, and I have seen some very good dancing. In fact, one of the last years I danced, we did the choreography. I did the choreography of Ethan Stifle in Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Oberon, King of the Fairies. That was difficult. That was hard. That was hard work. All of this 80s, like
it was 80s.
That's not hard.
It was the 80s. I remember. It was a dance. I was young. That's how we danced.
The problem for me with the dancing is that the actual dancers, they weren't horrible dancers, and the choreography wasn't horrible choreography, but it's like everything else in the film. You had all these pieces that if you plucked all of this film apart into pieces and lined them up, the dance, the music, the roller skates, Gene Kelly, whatever, all the little pieces, take them all apart and just line them all up. Individually, they're fine. It's when you suck them all together in that big soup, it's a mess. And so for me, and here's my opinion, this movie is terrible. And that's it. We're done. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
But the dancing, and I was a dancer. I was dancing at the time when this movie came out, and when I was little, and I saw this movie, and I have vague memories of it, and I would have loved it, because I was into every single movie musical. Grease I saw a bazillion times. The dancing, I would have loved it, but I didn't. Like I barely remembered it except for the song Magic and the Xanadu songs. All I remembered from the movie, and Olivia Newton-John was in it. But the problem with the dancing for me is that it didn't, like everything else, it was disjointed. It was like it was there and it just interrupted everything. And it was like, look, here's the dancing. We're dancing. It just was like, it didn't flow. None of this flowed. None of this told a story. So, this was terrible. This was a terrible movie.
It wasn't helped by Michael Beck or whatever that actor's name who played Sonny Malone, because he's terrible in this film. He's a giant charisma suck. I think he only got the job because his hair was perfectly feathered in that late 70s way, right? And he kind of looked like he might have been a Hardy Boy or something from that particular TV show. But every time he shows up, he sucks all the energy out of every scene. He's really bad, really bad.
It was supposed to be Mel Gibson. It was supposed to be Mel Gibson. Now, our producer posted that, but I remember I did some research on it too, and it was supposed to be Mel Gibson. And one of the reasons maybe Mel Gibson became something else is because he did not do Xanadu.
Did not do the movie where people's careers went to die. Weird.
Right?
Weird.
Can I react to the one I can't read the name, Taya maybe?
Yeah, please.
About the word Xanadu?
I was laughing while you were talking because I read that.
Yeah, so the word Xanadu comes from it's actually the palace, Kublai Khan Palace, Summer Palace, and it was referenced in a Coleridge poem, which is actually recited. The first few lines is recited at the beginning, or no, towards the end of the movie. I think she recites it, and then he recites the other thing. A very, silly moment. And Xanadu is also used. Was the name of the palace in Citizen Kane, in his house.
Yes, which was a very dismal place, like this movie.
So the idea of it is the Xanadu is supposed to be this place of this idyllic place, this palace, this place of joy and everything like this, summer palace, whatever. And so that's why they called it that. But, maybe it's more like what you suggested. I don't know. It could be used for that as well, perhaps.
Can I just address a comment? We had to scroll back a little bit for this one. Crescent Moon Soaps and Crystals says, what I want to know is who y'all pissed off. Like, I'd like to know that too. I'd love to know that.
Well, we know who chose it, so we know who we pissed off.
I would love to know why, though. Like, what exactly did I do so I could not do it again? Because
oh, you guys, of all the bad movies we watch, and again, this was a bad one, but this was not the worst.
I beg to differ, actually. I think this might, because at least there was like things to hate about the other ones. Like, there was pieces that I could pick apart and not like and whatever, but like there was some redeeming quality to them that I could say, okay, yeah, everything was terrible except, you know what, I'll give it credit here. This was like, someone was like, you know what, we have some extra things laying around, let's just like let's put neon lights on everything and roller skates and like just whatever, just put it all and put no thought into it and just let them go and dance around. Like, there was nothing to this. I feel like it had no substance whatsoever, and there's nothing, I could not like anything about it.
Little Witches at least had boobs and butts in it. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I should have swapped. Because boobs and butts would have made this better.
Yeah.
Well, there's a song Magic. Magic is a good song.
No.
Magic is a good
song. None of the songs were good.
Magic is a good song. Karaoke that for you, Courtney, one day.
None of the songs. All of the songs made my ears bleed. None of the songs were good. I hated them all. They all sounded the same. Except for Xanadu, where they were singing Xanadu song, and it was jump scaring me out of my, my, what did I call it? My self-preservation power nap, my self-defense nap. Yeah.
Your glasses kind of remind me of the movie, though.
They better not.
With the glow around the sides.
They really do.
There's no glow. These are Pride glasses from Target. Thank you very much. Let's all be allies. Okay, thanks.
Even beyond, speaking of glows, how did you like that sort of violet neon glow that she had? It was like she had fallen into some sort of nuclear reactor, and it was this weird. It was supposed to make her look ethereal, but it just made her look like Swamp Thing.
And then it turned yellow, didn't it? Then it was yellow for a while.
It did. It was
Right. And then when he went through the wall, I thought I'd entered the Tron movie for a minute with the lights and the lines and stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're gonna get a Tron bike in here any minute now.
We could have only been so lucky.
Well, Jason, we haven't heard from you much.
I feel like I've been contributing. It's just, what do you say? I will say this movie reminds me of, like, it's very much of its period in that it plays into we need a mystical being from heaven to help solve our problems, because this is at the same time as the Oh God movies with with what's his name? Cigar, really old guy. George Burns.
George Burns.
Right? I mean, this kind of felt like a George Burns movie, but with Gene Kelly as George Burns. The wise, mystical older guy, and then, of course, you had, a Greek muse, which was sort of like being, oh God. So, yeah, just very much of its product of its time. Thankfully, that decade is over.
This movie also got credited for killing the love of the movie musical. That and The Wiz did it in pretty much.
It killed a lot of things. Sad. Killed a lot of things within me today. So all my hopes and dreams and good feelings.
One of the reviewers, I was reading an article talking about how bad the movie was, and they weren't sure which was worse, this one or the more recent rendition of Cats. They were. Oh. I don't know if you've seen has anyone seen Cats?
No.
This is better than that. This is better than
I would rather watch that monstrosity again than this.
Yes, Grease came out before Xanadu. This was an attempt to cash in on the greatness of Olivia Newton-John, and they did not cash in on the greatness of Olivia Newton-John.
No. I'd rather watch Cats again, but that's okay.
Me too.
Oh no!
Are we going to watch?
This is quick. At least this is quick, and the songs are a little bit better.
Oh no! Cats musical the music from Cats is fantastic.
Heather, yes.
Forget it. I could at least close my eyes.
I'll sing them all right now.
That movie.
Memories. Please. Okay. Yeah. No. At least those are good.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the same year, Flash came out, and that was so much of a better film. Queen sang the soundtrack, and then of course you have Leather Daddies and Wings, and you have Ming the Merciless, What's Not to Love, the best villain ever, and you have spaceships, and you have a little bit of the 40s, and you have a little bit. Yes, 100%. I would rather watch Flash 1 million times. I had to cleanse my palate right in the middle of this week's show.
It was a weird era where rock groups were doing vaguely science fiction-y movies there often. I mean, Queen and Flash Gordon, I'm with Richard Lale. I think that works, but ELO doing this movie doesn't work as good. And then there was Toto doing the soundtrack for the original Dune movie just a couple of years later. There were a lot of drugs in Hollywood during this period of time.
Maybe there was The Last Unicorn too. Who did the music for The Last Unicorn?
America did the version. Yes.
Maybe this was supposed to be a take drugs movie.
That makes sense.
Maybe or something, mushrooms, acid.
No.
I don't
heroin.
I honestly, Patty, I think what happened was someone said, how are we going to make money from the success of Grease and Olivia Newton-John? Someone come up with a musical we can put her in. And then they came up with this idea, and then they just started writing it. Oh, we can throw this in. Oh, I have this great idea. Let's do this. Oh, someone's friends with Gene Kelly. Let's get him on the deal. And actually, she said at one point in a review that she said they were writing it on the fly. So and they had a lot of writers. That's never a good thing. Promise for a movie is to have it being written. Just let's throw in some. Let's throw in neon lights. Let's throw.
No one said no, and no one said no to any of it. No one had an ounce of common sense and said no to anything. They said yes, great idea. Give me another one.
Wait a minute. And Courtney, what's worse is they made a Broadway musical out of this.
No.
And it went for 1 year, 517 performances, and a national tour before closing. And here's what's even worse than that. There is and if you know about Broadway musicals, there is something called junior versions, which are done at high schools. There is a Xanadu Junior, which you can bring to your school.
No,
or to a school near you.
I am not a terrorist. That's domestic terrorism. I will not do it.
Why? You know why it's a musical? You know why it is? Because people do love it. They do love it. They love it. They love it. But we have to ask, was it great or were you 8?
That's a fair question.
That's a fair question.
That's going to be the entire Star Wars episode here in a few weeks. Was it great or were you just 8 years old?
Even start.
No. See, there's not even a question.
This is a
the glasses, Courtney.
This
Nostalgia's
would be a good musical for kids. This would be a good musical for kids, though, because this had to have been G-rated. I mean, there's nothing provocative about this movie. There's nothing racy about this movie. And the love interests even seem scared to touch each other at various parts of the movie. It's really weird how G-rated it really all is.
It is, and I think you're being way too harsh. It's a bad movie, but it's a very different, original, even if it's bad. I fall asleep. I would say my head on occasion.
Olivia Newton-John had no chemistry with either Gene Kelly or with what's his name who fell off the face of the planet, who played the lead with the good hair.
Zero.
There was no.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And he's supposed to be automatically in love with her, but clearly he wasn't. There was no. It was just, oh, okay. Now in this scene, I have to kiss you.
Okay, don't make that face again. That was. Please. I just almost passed out. I just almost had another self-defense nap just now.
Well, you know, the thing about it being for kids is I don't think it is because it doesn't. Kids need a story that they can hold on to. There really isn't a story in here. So it just, I don't even think it's, I mean, I think if you can extract the music and just make a nice little album out of it with Magic and Xanadu and then let the rest of it.
That's done. That's been, you can buy it on LP on what is it? Not 78, 33 RPMs. You can buy it on 33 RPMs. You can buy it on CD. You can buy it on tape. You can buy it on, you can listen to it for free on YouTube. People have done that. You could find.
I had a lot of people on my social media praising this movie because they watched it when they were young, and that to me says that when you're a kid, maybe you do like this movie because the plot holes are a lot smaller when you're 8 years old. I think, right? And it just looks kind of fun. They move from one little musical scene to another musical scene. She can turn into a cartoon. You know, maybe as a kid you really like that and it appeals to you.
Lightning bolts.
Can I just point out that you just said the plot holes were a lot smaller, as if the whole movie wasn't just one giant plot hole? That's it. I'm just bringing it up. That's all.
You have a point, Courtney. I'm not going to disagree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that everything that's been said about this film? Have we said it all?
Did we light it on fire yet?
I think we did. But we still. Oh, we vote before we do? No, we do the Mankey moment before we vote. I've said it.
Quotes.
Does Courtney have quotes from this movie?
The eye roll.
Unfortunately, I forced myself to find something because my quote was throw it in the trash. Okay, so there's that whole conversation, and that, like, I tried to write this down, and then I was so distracted because I was like, what are they doing? When she says, listen, if you're gonna dance, you have to wear something. And then Sunny says, that looks special. You need some glitz. glitz, something sharp looking, something with a bit of pizzazz to it, hot. And then they go to the glitz factory. Like, please, okay, I'm putting these on myself because this is so embarrassing to talk about. Okay.
Haven't you been to a glitz factory?
No, I have not. There is a roller rink down the street from me, but Danny says, I used to be in the music business, but now I'm what you might call retired. It's a refined name for bum. And I thought that was pretty good. And then when they're asking, oh, Kira, I want you to promise me one thing, anything. On opening night, I get the first dance. And she says, okay. And Sonny says, you're going to dance? And he said, oh, I've been known to twinkle a toe or two. But then my favorite quote, this is my favorite one because this is how I felt about this entire movie. Sonny says, dreams die. And Danny McGuire says, no, not by themselves. We kill them. And that's what this movie is summed up. A dead dream. Let's kill it.
Oh,
The end.
Thank you.
that's pretty good.
Before we go to the Mankey Minute, can I just applaud Taya for mentioning Grease 2? Because I loved Grease 2 when I was 8.
Yes.
And I can sing every song in that musical. And that is a terrible movie, but it is so good. That's a terrible good. So, not this one. Anyway.
I've never seen Grease 2.
Oh my goodness. We are watching it.
It's so good. It's so
I
good.
love Grease 1.
good.
I know all the words to the first Grease, but
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that there is a Rocky Horror Picture Show 2?
There is.
There is shock treatment, I think, which is also lousy, but the music is good.
I've also never seen Rocky Horror.
Oh God, lights out. Hold on.
I think
we
we're
do that one?
Yep.
Can
Good.
we do Rocky Horror?
Good. Turn those lights right off. Good.
We can
Now
definitely
everyone
do
can
Rocky
feel
Horror.
my pain too.
We can
do
definitely
Rocky.
do
That's as
Rocky Horror.
witchy
I don't know if there's any magic in it, but it's more witchy than this one is.
I can
Can
put
we
that
dress?
on the list.
Yes.
I'm writing
I
it
say we
down
can
right
dress.
here.
Yes. And we can dress. We can dress.
Horror. Number 1, I'm assuming.
How can
I would love that.
How can you? I just don't even know how you could go like more than 20 years in life and not see Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? It's
I've
like
been
such
more
a.
than 30 years
I know.
in life and not
I
seen it.
know, but just,
Don't know how.
It's
I
the
don't
best.
know how.
The
You
best.
got to see it at midnight in New York City.
Okay, we should have a party then.
Sounds like it.
Oh,
Okay.
Courtney, how could you? He has the girls at the seal of approval.
All right. Now, perhaps we move on to the Mankey movie minute.
I just realized these aren't even a minute now. They're like way long. I need to
That's
trim
okay.
them.
We
They're
like it.
Yeah,
3 or
as
4
they should
minute
be.
soliloquies. All right.
And I even
Here-
used the wrong title.
All right, here we go. Let me take you back in time to a magical world called the late 1970s. It's the winter of 1978, and 2 Hollywood writers are holed up in their office working diligently, even though their entire office is covered in snow. We know it's Hollywood, but snow is on the ground, on the desks, and blowing in through an open window. Snow is everywhere. And when one breathes it in, they just can't help but breathe in the snow. The cold and especially the snow gives these young writers strength and enthusiasm. They find themselves inspired by Greek mythology, disco, roller skating, musical films from the 1940s, Star Wars, classic Disney movies, and good old-fashioned love stories. The writers move around the piles of snow on their desks, savoring the power nature's candy provides them. One of them exclaims, "Yes, all of this and more. Let's create the greatest movie ever made, our own Xanadu." The freak snowstorm that so inspired our young writers then found its way to the movie's team of directors, producers, costume designers, and choreographers, fueled by the type of soft powder that usually only exists on the slopes of Lake Tahoe. Everyone involved in the movie is focused on new and ever-expanding highs. Legendary performers such as Gene Kelly are signed up to star in what is essentially a movie about roller skating. The snow claims all the senses of the movie's creators. A visual spectacle is not enough. Grease was a huge hit. Olivia Newton-John should be in our movie because, hey, why not? Let's bring in Electric Light Orchestra, they yell. Why? Because the band is huge. It's an orchestra, and they are electric. The San Francisco band The Tubes is made a part of the picture. Why? Because so much money involved in Xanadu is going down the tubes and up the noses of the people involved with this film. The snow, of course, is cocaine, because only cocaine could have created this movie. There are 79 ideas competing for attention in Xanadu, and none of them are explored adequately. The movie just moves from one unrelated tangent to another unrelated tangent. Our hero, Sonny Malone, is clearly drug-addled. He steals a young woman's bicycle and forgets about it after meeting a 70-year-old man who instantly becomes his best friend. And I don't know why, but that line gets me every time I read this. He later leaves a ladder in the middle of a crowded sidewalk after seeing this man again. Drugs will affect your memory, kids. Drugs also ruin Sonny Malone's sense of discernment. Over the course of 3 days, he falls head over heels in love with a woman who has no home, no last name, and no chemistry with one Sonny Malone. If I had met this mystery woman, I would have instantly wondered if she was a serial killer. Only serial killers or heads of drug cartels are this secretive. This mystery woman calls herself Kira, but it is really the goddess Terpsichore, the muse of dancing, even though Kira's dancing is tentative and what I would describe as not very good. But perhaps most curiously, the Greek muse of dance has an Australian accent, which would only make sense to someone on cocaine. I mentioned Gene Kelly earlier. He plays jazz lover Danny Maguire, who apparently met the muse of dance in the 1940s when she sang on his records. An opium fiend in the 1940s, Maguire is unable to recognize his muse 30 years later, despite her being physically unchanged and having many pictures of her in his mansion. A mansion he earned entirely through legal means, wink, wink. Sonny Malone's chemistry burns much more strongly with Danny Maguire, and I couldn't help but hope that the two men might run off together to the YMCA. This was shot in 1979, after all. Or perhaps form some sort of throuple with Kira, who doesn't really seem to like either of them, and yet hangs around because they have something perhaps she can't easily get on her own, like cocaine. And then there's the giant ending of the movie. Xanadu is supposed to be a club for either rock and roll or jazz, but in the end, it just feels like a giant roller skating rink for the Studio 54 crowd. As people roll by on their roller skates, snow is kicked up on the floor of the club like the patrons are wearing ice skates. Various groups move on and off the floor of the roller skating rink, singing and dancing what can only be the origin of what we might now call a flash mob. Several years later, the snowstorm finally subsides, and people awaken to the carnage all of that snow left in its wake. The movie career of Olivia Newton-John would never recover. As penance for starring in Xanadu, Gene Kelly never starred in another motion picture. And Michael Beck, who starred as Sonny Malone, well, he went back to his home planet after the movie came out. Cocaine, kids. Don't do it.
Yay! That was amazing.
Beautiful.
Incredible.
Thank you.
That might be the best one yet.
Yeah, that might be the best one yet. All right. Well, it's time. It's going to be a shocker. It's not going to be a shocker. Everybody, and we mean everybody out there, wands up, wands down, wands. Oh, wait, where's my fire?
Oh, yes, Patty, light it on fire. Yes.
Down, 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 half down, half down. So, Jason, you're half down too.
I'm like right in the middle. This is a terrible movie, don't get me wrong, but I do like the music in the movie, and it does make me laugh because it is so bad. This is a negative times a negative equaling a positive, perhaps.
I agree. And
but
what
it is not good. This is not good at all.
Good, but I'm not going down because it was entertaining. And that's what a movie's for. Thank you.
I'm
Everybody
wands up for the
Work
song
that.
Magic. I love the song Magic.
Wands
Wands
down.
up for Magic.
Wands up for the song Magic.
Wands up for the song Magic.
Wands
Down
up.
for everything else.
Wands up for the Electric Light Orchestra songs. I like the Tubes, but their performance was weird and it doesn't work
was not
in the
very good.
film. No, that goes down the tubes.
Yeah. Orange jumpsuits.
All right.
But
But
they
they've
work
given
this
themselves
whole
a real
Because jail is where they deserve to be after that.
Wands up for
performance.
Jason. Okay.
Yay.
Wands up for
Alright.
Jason.
All right. Let's talk about next week. I'm actually not going to be here for a couple of weeks because I'm going to be in Romania and Paris. So you guys out there, you guys fill in for me, everybody out there. So just stay in the chat room busy. But you guys have these fabulous people and you don't really need me at all. What are we doing next week that I'm not doing?
We're doing Love at Stake. 1989.
And it
Celebration
sounds like you got
of fame.
lucky being away, Patty.
Did it?
Yes. Just reading synopsises for this movie. I'm envious of your trip regardless, but I'm planning a trip maybe to Montana now, just maybe not to be here next week. Where can I go? What can I do? Maybe Courtney and I are going to go see a Broadway play together. Maybe we'll be busy.
I love that. I wish that we could have gone this week instead.
All right. So you guys next
Well-
week, Love at Stake. And thank you, Robert. I wish you could too. Everybody still can. Got to have a passport. Day to take to Romania. Let's go talk to vampires and witches in the forest. Anyway, all right. Does anybody have anything that's coming up that they want to talk about? What they have? Richard Leal.
Well, that would be me. Richard Leal is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I'd be a. Anyway, with that, I'm here in New Orleans. I am the Gentleman Psychic. I'm really easy to find. I am a little bit of everywhere. There are some fakes, but I'll never contact you for a reading. You can contact me, though. If you email me, I probably won't get it because I have 250,000 emails. Send me a text on Instagram. That's the best way.
Thank you. And Jason.
At the end of May, I am going to North Dakota for the North Dakota Grand Sabbath. So that's exciting. That's a place I've never been before. And I found out today that I'm going to be presenting at LlewelynCon, which is an online conference with all of these different Llewellyn authors. And they chose my presentation, Raymond Buckland, International Man of Mystery, which I sent them as an obvious joke, and yet they picked it. So that's coming up in June. So that'll be fun, and there'll be lots of Austin Powers gags throughout that.
Yay, thank you. Courtney.
That's me. So I am actually going to be making an appearance in a couple weeks at the Wicked Pissa Spring Parafair. I don't remember what the date is. It's on my, there it is. On Sunday, May 19th, 10 to 4 p.m. at Hart Stuff Hall. So that's one of the places that we visited on Scared and Alone. So if you're in the area, you can come check out the building, support the cause, and come say hi to me. And, we'll have a good time and take a picture together and maybe hex somebody because that's the mood I'm in. So other than that, you can find me on all of the socials at the Feems. Say hi. And yes, I'm in a mood.
Thank you. And Heather.
I am working towards Mystic South, which is in July. I'll be there. I'm actually doing 2 presentations there. I am on the board, so I'm everywhere during it, but I get to do 2 great presentations, one on dolls and haunted dolls, and I'll be bringing some of my girls with me, and also one on the meaning of the word witch. It just got selected, so I'm really excited about that. July in Atlanta, and then I'll be doing a presentation on Wizard of Oz witches in movies in Charlotte. Come on, join me, Patty, in Charlotte at Charles Oz, and that is in September. So I'll talk more about that as we go along. But that's all I'm doing right now, working with my fantastic authors. You can find me at heathergreen.net. And I'm on all the socials. You can reach out to me and tell me what movies I need to be watching because I'm always looking for new movies to watch.
Yes, we want your movie opinions and movie choices.
Yes.
Again, the next 2 weeks, will be in Romania on a witch and vampire tour with Father Sebastian and myself, going to all the spooky and fun places. I'm going to get home in time to go to, I'm not going home, I'm going to Paris. I'm going to be doing a seance at the Theatre des Vampires in Paris, my first Paris seance. And rush home to do Penhurst Paracon in Pennsylvania, and then rush to Texas to do a bit witchy weekend in Dallas, and then rush home to go into, well, you just leave it at that, Ventura, and on and on and on. Go to pattynegri.com. I am still hacked on Facebook. I have been friending a few people, but it isn't me. My hackers can get on Facebook, but I can't. My dog can't. My cat can't. My goat can't. But if you're fake, you can, apparently. But I will not contact you like Richard Leal. I don't. You contact me. I don't contact you. And I'm tired of it. And I'm glad to be going away. Yeah. And we're 5 minutes early.
We're way early. We are way early.
That's the magic of Xanadu right there.
We should just sing the word Xanadu over and over again for 5 full minutes while I take a self-preservation nap.
We've never done this before. So
Rob says so Flash. So we could do Flash Gordon. I mean, there's as much magic in Flash Gordon as he has a ring that does like magic powers, and we could do I love Flash. I love Flash Gordon. I love it. I can't, even when I shaved my head, I wish I had a picture of it. When I shaved my head, I actually did a cosplay as Ming the Merciless, who is my most favorite villain. I just love him. He's the best villain.
I'm putting him on the list. So Flash Gordon is on the list now, and it will pop up for us one week. How's that?
I think that is I will be there with bells on, maybe literally.
What other movies can I put on the list?
I would like to add a movie to the list, please.
Okay.
I saw a movie recently. It was so good. I had to go back and see it again immediately. I'm going to watch it again because it was so well done. It was called Late Night with the Devil.
Yes, it's so good.
We have to do
that
this weekend. It's so good.
It's so amazing. It is like analog horror, but like it wasn't particularly scary. It was unnerving, but it was like the way it was done. It was the first time I ever went on a Reddit deep dive in my life because I just needed to hear other people talk about it because I needed to talk about it. So it's finally on streaming. I'm going to buy it tonight, actually, because I just want to own it and watch it constantly all the time and rewind it and pause it and zoom in on it. But I saw it twice in the theater, and it's fantastic, and it's satanic panic, and it's all kinds of things, and we should definitely do that one.
It's on the list. I just saw that, too. I was going to add it to the list anyway, that it was just out. So that's a good one.
Secret of Nim?
Did we cover Stardust? Did we do?
No, but it's on the list already. So we have not
Stardust
done it yet.
or Secret of Nim?
But it's on the list. It's on the list.
Neither one. Stardust is on the list. Secret of Nim is not.
It should be.
Jason, if you would like to discuss theories, I will unhex you so that we can talk about it.
You know what? You can come visit me and we could go out to the Grove.
Perfect.
Yeah. So much.
Love that.
Going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we used 3 minutes, 4 minutes. We did really, really good. Again, we want to thank everybody out there in the chat room. We love your opinions, all of them. The ones that are wrong, the ones that are right. No.
All right, there's a comment. Wait, no, there's a comment that says, don't watch The Fourth Kind. That movie, I'm so traumatized about aliens. Patty, you know this, because you tried to get me to go outside and I couldn't.
Aliens with Andrew Perrin.
So, too scary for me. The Fourth Kind I watched as I tried to do exposure therapy to myself with that movie and was convinced it was real, even though I know it wasn't. And it made me run from my house. 2 nights after I watched it, I heard something on the roof and I ran out of my house across the street because I thought aliens were on the roof. So it didn't work. And it's scary. That's so scary.
Andrea Perrin's aliens aren't scary. They like 40s music. They would have Gene Kelly there and bringing down the spaceship because that's what she sings.
This is my actual nightmare. Yeah. No.
They would go to Xanadu.
I have 2 pair. I do. I've had them since the 80s, I'm sure. All right. Well, it is close enough to that time. We have one more thing to do. I was going to suggest we sing Xanadu instead of Cackle, but you. No.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's just cackle.
I'm going to sing Xanadu.
All right.
Okay. Okay, Courtney, you and I sing Xanadu as they cackle. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Ah.
Xanadu, Xanadu.
Xanadu.